Shalom Aleichem. Giving all praise to Yahweh Hashem Yahushai. Lift up on the sincere laborers out there, pushing the truth in all sincerity and faith and honesty to help further seal the elect. Alright? Excuse the noise in the background, brothers. You know, they got Jake out there doing some yard work. But, you know, I just want to get into a topic. I watched this movie, God Is Not Dead. And one of the main things that I picked up off of that movie is by how I know it's a movie, but it's based, you know, the scene was based upon real facts. All right, there was this man who was he's I believe a forensic detective. Anyways, I'm gonna have the clip in the video. But he's a forensic detective. You know, he you know, he investigated crime scenes or whatever. And the judge asked him, how many of your cases were solved by DNA? And he said none. He said that, you know, popular to what you see on TV, most of our cases were solved by eyewitnesses. Okay, so meaning most of his professional cases was solved by eyewitnesses. All right, meaning no DNA. All right, so meaning I saw this person here and I saw that person there. Then another witness, I saw that person there. I saw this person there. All right. So with that being said, people always like to ask, okay, where's the evidence of Jesus Christ, which we know by the name is Yahushai, his true name in the Hebrew. Okay. So they always like to ask, where's the proof? You can't find his grave. There's no proof of his existence. Okay. With that being said, we have the scriptures. Okay, the scriptures is eyewitness. You know, the Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, John, eyewitnesses of the one who the world calls Jesus Christ, which is Yahushai. Those are eyewitnesses. All right, and they say that eyewitnesses are very credible sources, because two people can keep alive, right? Can keep alive and keep a secret between themselves, but it's harder for hundreds of people to keep a lie and to keep the same lie and keep it between themselves. Okay, even more than hundreds, thousands. All right, because there's written documents of Jesus Christ, the one who they call Jesus Christ, Yahushai, outside of the scriptures. Okay, just gotta look up the sources, different sources of the one who you call Jesus outside of the scriptures. Okay, with that being said, eyewitnesses are very critical into finding things out, if somebody was there or if they actually existed. All right, and more than one eyewitness, like the scriptures state. Okay, and this is Deuteronomy. It's like I'm gonna get Romans 10:17. So then faith cometh by hearing, and hearing by the word of the Most High. Okay, so that's how we believe on Yahweh Hashem Yahushai, through the faith in us reading the scriptures and learning about him. Okay, and reading the witnesses of Yahushai, the people that walked with Yahushai and actually saw him. So that's where we get our faith from, by hearing the word. And, you know, we know it's a lot deeper than that. First off, you gotta be part of the elect. Okay. But next scripture, I'm gonna get his this is Salakia Hakim. This is Deuteronomy. It's like Deuteronomy 19 verse 15. Salakia for the delay. I gotta get my scriptures real quick. 19 verse 15. I thought I had it, but you know, this technology nowadays, it can fail you as well. Let's do Deuteronomy 19:15. Okay, it says, one witness shall not rise up against a man for any iniquity or for any sin, and any sin that he sinneth at the mouth of two witnesses or at the mouth of 3 witnesses shall the matter be established. Okay, so that's the law of the scriptures. You gotta have more than one witness. Okay, there was more than one witness to validate that Yahweh Shai actually existed. All right, there's more than one witness. Okay, just because we can't find DNA, and like the clip explained it a lot more better than I can. All right, I'm just leading you to the water, and then you drink it. All right, but the clip, you know, can explain a lot more. That eyewitnesses are actually very critical into coming up with truth, and if somebody was there and they actually existed. Okay, because you get all different aspects. One person might have seen it this way, another person might have seen it that way. One person might have missed something that the other person didn't see. Okay, so that way you get a whole spectrum of it. And if all that is, and if all the stories are similar, then it ought to be the truth. Okay, that's the standard. All right. Next scripture I'm gonna get is Jeremiah, the 8th chapter, the first 2 verses. All right. This is Jeremiah 8, verse 1. And at that time, saith the Lord, they shall bring out the bones of the kings of Judah, and the bones of the princes, and the bones of the priests, and the bones of the prophets, and the bones of the inhabitants of Jerusalem out of their graves, and they shall spread them before the sun and the moon and all the hosts of heaven whom they love. So there's not going to be no graves of, oh, this is Moses, this is Jeremiah, this is Isaiah, this is Nehemiah, this is Noah. It's not going to be none of that. All right. It said the bones, it said, and they shall spread them before the sun and the moon and the hosts of heaven whom they love. And it's definitely not going to be no bones of Yahweh Shai, because if you believe in the scriptures, you would believe that Yahweh Shai was resurrected. Okay? So you know you're not going to find no bones or the burial ground of Yahweh Shai. All right? It says, whom they loved and whom they served, and after whom they have walked, and after whom they have sought, and whom they have worshipped. They shall not be gathered nor be buried. They shall be for dung upon the face of the earth. Okay? So I mean, it's going to be dung upon the face of the earth. And what happens to dung when it sits? You know, you walking your dog. You know, he uses the bathroom in the grass, right? Eventually, that dung wavers away. It breaks down into dust particles, and eventually it gets flown all over Earth. Turns into dust, and it becomes as the wind, and it flies away pretty much. Okay, or decomposes and goes back into the earth, and you can't find out where it was. All right, it's gone. But the point I'm trying to make is, like I say, the video will be able to explain it a little better than I can. Okay, I'm just leading you to the waters. It's up to you to be able to receive it and drink it. All right, and then once again, it's a movie, but it states valid facts and points. All right, of not actually having DNA to prove that someone existed. Eyewitnesses is very critical into proving someone existed. Okay, and that someone is Yahweh Shai. Okay. There's no DNA to prove, but there's eyewitnesses, and these tactics are used in day-to-day crime investigation scenes. All right, we all know Jake's what happened. Jake never get caught doing something. What? Somebody always snitches and tells on him. All right, that's how they able to solve a lot of crimes, from somebody telling and saying, "Oh, I saw him there." Then you get another person to say, then they bring you into the interrogation room. Okay, 3 people say they saw you here. All right. Then bam, we have our suspect. All right, but with that, I'm gonna give all praises and glory to Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai, double understood elder apostles of great millstone, and salutations to you sincere laborers out there pushing this truth in all sincerity and faith and honesty. Shalom.
State your name and experience for the record.
My name is James Warner Wallace. I'm a retired homicide detective from Los Angeles County.
And are you the author of the book Cold Case Christianity?
Yes, I am.
Can you share the subtitle of the book with the court, please?
A homicide detective investigates the claims of the Gospels.
Would I be correct in saying that your duties as a homicide detective include investigating cold case homicides?
Yes, that is and was my expertise.
Don't most of those cases get solved with DNA evidence?
Objection. Leading. And counsel is testifying again, Your Honor.
I'll rephrase. how many of your cold cases were solved through the use of DNA evidence?
None, not one. That's often popular on TV, but our department has never had the good fortune of solving a cold case with DNA.
Well, how do most of these cases get solved?
Often by examining eyewitness claims, witness claims that were made many years earlier, even though often our witnesses are now deceased.
Forgive my ignorance, Mr. Wallace, but how is that possible?
Well, we have a number of techniques that we can use to test the reliability of an eyewitness, including something called forensic statement analysis. That's a discipline where we scrutinize the statements of eyewitnesses and looking at what they choose to minimize, what they choose to emphasize, what they omit altogether, how they expand time or contract time. And when we examine these kinds of eyewitness accounts, we can usually tell who's lying and who's telling the truth and even who the guilty party is.
And did you apply this skill set any time outside of your official capacity?
Yes, I applied my expertise to the death of Jesus at the hands of the Romans, and I actually looked at the Gospels as I would any other set of forensic statements. Within a matter of months, I determined that the 4 Gospels, written from different perspectives, contained the eyewitness accounts about the life, ministry, death, and resurrection of Jesus.
And did you consider that the 4 accounts might be part of a conspiracy designed to promote belief in a fledgling faith?
Yeah, you have to consider conspiracies when assessing eyewitness accounts. But successful conspiracies typically involve the fewest number of people. It's a lot easier for 2 people to lie and keep a secret than it is for 20. And that's really the problem with the conspiracy theories related to the apostles in the first century. There are just far too many of them trying to hold this conspiracy for far too long a period of time. And far worse, they're experiencing pressure like no other, unimaginable pressure. Every one of these folks was tortured and died for what they claimed to see, and none of them ever recanted their story. So the idea that this is a conspiracy in the first century is just really unreasonable. Instead, what I see in the Gospels is something I call unintended eyewitness support statements.
What's an unintended eyewitness support statement?
If I can borrow your Bible. Let me go to the Gospel of Matthew for an example of this. I'll start with a passage in which Jesus is in front of Caiaphas at a hearing. It says here, "Then they spit in his face and struck him with their fists. Others slapped him and said, 'Prophesy to us, Christ, who hit you?'" Now that seems like a very simple request, given that the people who hit him are standing right in front of him. This makes no sense. Why would it be prophecy to be able to tell you who hit you? But it's not until you read Luke that you get an answer to this. He says, "The men who were guarding Jesus began mocking and beating him. They blindfolded him and demanded, 'Prophesy, who hit you?'" So now we know why this was a challenge, because Luke tells us the thing that Matthew left out, that he was actually blindfolded at the time this took place. This is very common, this kind of unintentional eyewitness support that fills in a detail that the first witness left out. After years of scrutinizing these Gospels, using the template that I use to determine if an eyewitness is reliable, I concluded that the 4 Gospels in this book contain the reliable accounts of the actual words of Jesus.
And that's to include the statements quoted by Miss Wesley in her class.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Detective. Your witness.
Detective Wallace, I'm not going to try to match biblical knowledge with you. But isn't it true that these gospel accounts vary widely in what they say? That there are numerous discrepancies between these accounts?
Absolutely. But that's exactly what we should expect.
I don't quite understand that.
Well, reliable eyewitness accounts always differ slightly in the way they recall the story. They're coming to it from different geographic perspectives, their history, even where they are located in their room. When I examined the Gospels, I was trying to determine if these were accurate, reliable accounts in spite of any differences that might be between the accounts.
And as a devout Christian, you feel you succeeded?
No, Mr. Kane, I think you misunderstand me. When I began this study, I was a devout atheist. I began examining the Gospels as a committed skeptic, not as a believer. You see, I wasn't raised in a Christian environment, although I do think I have an unusually high regard for the value of evidence. I'm not a Christian because I was raised that way or because I hoped it would satisfy some need or accomplish some goal. I'm simply a Christian because it's evidentially true.